We here at Autism 30 want to thank you for your patience during our October hiatus, and we want to remind you that we've been working hard behind the scenes to make sure that our podcasts are what you want to hear. We've made sure that this season we are bringing you the most educational, informative, and hard-hitting podcast to make you think, learn, and hopefully enjoy yourself in the process. So sit back and do whatever it is you do when listening to our podcasts and enjoy.
I'm an autism awareness angel, making sure my wings protect the different, the stranger than. I'm an autism awareness angel. It's good because I'm cool with the unique behavior. I'm an autism awareness angel. Will you accept me? Because I accept you. I'm an autism awareness angel because a view from the spectrum is a better point of view. The question at hand.
Hello, I'm Tally, and welcome back to Autism 30. Today on our podcast, we are once again speaking with Mr. Lucas Gates, who you may have already heard on his podcast dated January 1st, 2016. Please listen to this wonderful podcast and learn more about who this brilliant community member is. Today's podcast is not only an update interview, but news about great social events and groups for our community members that are taking place at the PAFN's Goodlife Fitness Hub located in Richmond, British Columbia. Welcome, Lucas.
Thanks for having me back on, Tally. And for those listeners who are listening, it's my birthday, so I just want to let everyone know if everyone's listening today. By the time it goes up, I will be 25 years old. Hard to believe I'll be a quarter of a century old already.
That's amazing. Well, happy birthday, Lucas, and I hope your 25th is a brilliant one.
It probably is.
I can't believe a quarter of a century has already gone by. That's fast.
You can say that again.
Now, the last time we spoke on your podcast, you were employed by somebody else, and I know a lot of developments have happened in your life, like our community members do. We grow and evolve, and I think you've evolved in a wonderful direction. So can you please explain to our audience of where you were in the last podcast in comparison to where you are today?
So basically, for those who want to know, I was with my dad in the garment business after I left school for just things. And then I want to thank my dad very much for getting me in the workforce, getting me set up like that.
Absolutely.
And then just last year, I actually joined the PFN's crew as an ambassador, which I'm thrilled to be part of today.
Which is excellent, and what an excellent representative for our community members at the PAFN's Goodlife Fitness Hub. Now, what is your role at that job?
So basically, my responsibility at the PFN is basically whenever a family calls in, any age, doesn't matter, we accept everybody.
Which is excellent, and I think it's really good that a community member is representative at the center when you walk in. I think it's an example of what can be achieved.
Absolutely, and when families when they talk to me, I'm open saying that I'm on the spectrum and you're calling the right place, because a lot of families don't get that kind of opportunity to talk to a fellow person with ASD, and it's a very good feeling when you have that.
Absolutely. Now, I know you haven't just recently started, and last year you ran 2 very successful groups. Can you please tell our audience about what those 2 groups were?
Yes, I'm very happy to confirm. We actually did run those last 2 clubs on a trial run basis, so basically like a dry run.
Absolutely. Now, what was the first group you ran last year?
So the first group we ran was the Pokemon Club. As you can probably, Tally can probably tell you when we're doing the podcast right now, I am wearing a Pokemon hat.
It's a very good looking hat, and my son would be envious of it. Yes.
I know that your son would be. Very nice kid. But anyway, so basically what it was basically meant for teens and young adults, but it was open to everybody. So
yes. And how was this group received?
It was received very well. We had a lot of people, it was a lot.
Which is excellent. But were there any challenges with the number of people that were there?
Yes, I was talking to the older teens and young adults, which I probably think we should explain about that later because there's a little bit more in depth. I think we should talk about that.
Absolutely. And what was the second group you ran last year?
So the second group we ran was Connections. So the Connections was the teens and young adults group ages, if I'm not mistaken. It was six. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long, but I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it was 16 to 29.
Which is excellent. So more age fluidity between the group.
Correct.
Which is excellent. Now, what happened at that group?
So going back to Pokemon group, we after the season wrapped up, we wrapped up in I think about May last year,
Yes.
earlier this year. So basically what happened was we decided that it was too open-ended, unfortunately. It was like open up Pandora's box when you say something and then it opens all the way.
Yes. Now, so this year you're running some groups as well, but you're altering them in some way. What kind of decisions have you made from what you've learned running the groups in the first year to this year?
So we actually decided that we wanted to sort of adjust some of the groups. So we actually decided that we would change the groups from the Pokemon Club to the Gaming Club. So basically, it's more open-ended for our guys ages 15 to 29. We dropped the age for both groups by at least one.
By 1 year. Okay, which is a good idea. And so what actually happens at the clubs this year? Because I know last year there were little kids also in the groups, which are no longer included. However, there will be, from what I understand, another group that is going to be taking on the Pokemon group for the lower grades, which will do another podcast for at a separate date. But the groups that you're going to be running right now, what is going to be happening during those clubs?
So what it is, basically they'll be coming here and coming to the PFN, just having some fun, making new friends and that kind of thing, because a lot of people can't really go out on the town, go to like bars or anything like that. I'm not even those kind of persons. My cousin is, but I'm not.
That's right. I mean, put it this way: in my philosophy, there are different people for different types of events and different situations. And I think what's great is you have created a situation and an event for people who are like-minded to attend. And it's obviously a great group because so many people are attending. So there is a community of like-minded people. So what is your goal for the group?
Actually, there's our goal is just about to be achieved, and I'm very happy to make an announcement regarding that. I want to make sure people know about this.
Okay, what is it?
We are going to be phasing this in over the next coming months. So if there is anything regarding gaming and connections, they will be merged together under the Connections banner.
Oh, fantastic. So that means it's no longer going to be called the Pokemon group. It's going to be called Connections.
Well, Connections was already one of our groups already. Pokemon
Yes.
group was already rebranded to gaming, but we decided since the groups were very, very similar, we're just going to call them the Connections Club that we already ran and just run them on the times that they were before, on the first and third Thursday of the month.
Excellent. So correct me if I'm wrong. That group is for 15 and above, 15 years and above. And It's basically a gamings group where people can get together and play games of some fashion. What kind of games are available?
So what we had is we actually have a PlayStation. An anonymous donor donated the PS4 to our group, which I'm very thankful for.
Very nice.
So we actually already have a few games already. I'm very happy to confirm. I'm hoping to get already have 2 controllers, which 2 more hopefully on the way. And yeah.
And so if you want to join the group, do you need to have a computer or an iPad or any of that to be able to go?
Absolutely. You don't need to have it if you don't want to. Like I know like from our old club, people brought their handheld gaming consoles or whatnot. But yeah, it's totally fine. Heck, I even bring my 3DS and my Switch. Yes, I do have that hot commodity right now.
But you don't need to have one because I'm sure there are some audience members out there that are thinking, oh, I'd like to go, but I don't have an iPhone, I don't have an iPad. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is if you don't have any of that, you're still more than welcome to join.
Absolutely. Remember, we also have an arcade room just on the other end of the room, so we already have that booted up. We even have an air hockey machine. So basically, people can just play air hockey if they want to. It's the world, like it's open-ended at this. It's open-ended.
Absolutely, which is great. Now, what exactly happens at that club? Like, what's the scheduling like, or is it just all free and open?
So what it is, like I said, when we're going to be merging the clubs together, we're actually going to be moving the time from 6 to 9 to 6 to 8:30. We're actually slashing off the half an hour since people get a little tired at that time. It's Thursday night after all.
Absolutely. But what I'm asking is that when people go into the club, is there a set schedule, or is it just very free and open and to come just to hang out with fellow community members?
Very open-ended. I'm very happy to confirm. We just want people to just come in and have fun, just load off, because obviously some people might just have one of those days where they're just having a rough day and they just want to come say, hey Johnny, how's you doing? And saying, fine, so-and-so. Like, it's one of those days where you just want to come in and hang out and say, meet your old pals.
So correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm understanding is one of the main goals of this group is to find other friends and like-minded people that you can make connections to, and that you can then even meet outside of the group if you're interested in it.
Absolutely. I even tell some of the people who are in the group, hey, why don't you, if you want, you can exchange phone numbers, Facebook profiles, Twitter, or whatever. Like, that's how it is.
That's excellent, because I know that's something that some of our community members have a difficult time in doing, are making connections. And I think it's really good that you're actually facilitating a group that enables that to happen. Now, when this group happens, is there a monetary cost involved?
Yes, I want to make sure that this is not required. It's a $5 donation requested. We're just asking people if they want to donate $5 to help with the cost of pizza. That's pretty much all it is. You don't have to donate if you don't want to. It's like all those subscription models on the internet. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to.
But you use those funds to actually make the group even better and to have more resources available to the groups to constantly improve the facilities of your groups that you're offering.
Correct.
Now, what is the goal of the club, personally to you?
Just that they can all meet new friends. Look, in high school, I was not really that kind of guy who... I knew a lot of people. I didn't really have like true friends. I had acquaintances, but not like true friends.
Okay.
But now, since I'm in my 20s, 25 today to be perhaps.
Welcome. Happy birthday.
But I mean, yeah, you understand that a lot of people in high school and elementary have that problem. I do want to say something to my fellow high school peers towards the end of the podcast. So if you're more than glad to have that tally, that'd be more than grateful.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you say it now?
Perfect. Hey, to all my fellow peers of classmates of 2010, you guys know who you are. I just want to let you know that remember what our counselor said was keep all doors open. Guess who believed it on it and took it all the way? That's how it is.
That's fantastic. And you want to know what that counselor's advice is actually very good advice. You should keep all doors open.
Absolutely. And I'm actually trying to keep in touch personally. I'm actually trying to keep in touch with some of my old former classmates of then, because it's been at least 7-8 years since I've talked to them. So I want to make sure they are aware that things are going really well on my end.
Absolutely. They're going brilliantly. And I think what you're doing is testament to how far you've come. So that's excellent. And another question that I had about your group, to get back to that question.
Yeah, no problem.
Is because I know a lot of people want to volunteer and help out. Do you accept volunteers? And what's your process for accepting them if you do?
Volunteers are accepted. What do you think?
And if somebody wanted to volunteer to facilitate and aid at your group, how do they go about doing that?
I'm most likely they'll probably have to go for a criminal check just because I know that kind of thing. But I'm probably not the one to deal with. It's probably our program director. She's the one who probably organizes it. But if you want to talk to me, and I'll forward you if you can want to send me an email or something like that, that's more than fine.
That's excellent. So you do accept volunteers. Now, what about those community members who are unable to, let's say, come to the group without their aid with them? Do you allow people's aid to come with them?
Absolutely. But I mean, we want to make sure people are accepted for who they are. It's not like parents or anything. If parents obviously come and they gotta go, bye. Just like what I said about the Night to Remember Gala.
What about the Night to Remember Gala?
Oh, for those who don't know, it's a gala for people with diverse needs, is like I prefer to call it. But anyway, it's for ages 16 and up. But,
yes.
But anyway, what it is basically, it's a night where all the young adults basically can have like a prom-like night, and all the parents are not allowed in the room. So that's exactly where I'm going with that.
Excellent. So what you're talking about is you really want this club to be an adult zone for community members, and you don't really want people to quote unquote being helicoptered. I think is the term, helicopter parent over the event. You really want to facilitate and allowing people to be themselves.
Correct. Absolutely correct. I want to make sure they're happy.
So what you are saying is that if somebody needed or wanted to bring an aide with them, though they are allowed to do that.
Absolutely correct. I'm very happy to also
Yes, and also for those who actually have aids that they support aids they need, they're totally allowed.
Well, that's fantastic. And can you tell us some success stories about running the groups?
yeah, it's been really successful. Like everyone who has come to the group has sort of become happy and they've got to know each other. Heck, some of them even I got to even know, and then now they're Facebook friends with me. So it's like communicate, and that's how it is. I just got to know more friends, and that's connections.
Well, that's great. And what about other success stories about just working at PAFN?
Seeing how much lives are changed overnight.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And how has your life changed?
Me?
Yes.
How am I supposed to explain that in just a short amount of time? It's unbelievable. That's just one word I can use. Trust me.
My life literally has changed this last year and 10 months or so, because it's hard to imagine that was working at somewhere where I'm totally happy to be. As you probably remember, for those listeners who are listening in, that when I had that podcast, as many of you remember, I was trying to go into the tech sector.
Yes.
It was unfortunately not really in this day in Vancouver especially. It's super hot commodity. I know this because I'm a tech guy, but it was just too hot too hot to get into because they're only looking for the best. But I'm very happy that this backup option actually turned out to be the better of the two. So,
and you actually seem very, very happy. And I know every time I see you, you have a huge smile on your face. You're always overjoyed. It seems that you've completely metamorphosized into a joyous human being.
And also the fact is, I've also got to meet other people from the media and all sorts. And now my Twitter, it's just really amazing to talk to all sorts of supporters of PFN, people with autism spectrum, ASD, and it's just amazing.
Now, I know you're doing wonderful things at PAFN's Goodlife Fitness Hub, but is there any other events and things that you're working on outside the center?
Yes, I'm very happy that we're already getting the ball rolling on soccer. As your listeners probably already remember, when my mom and I were both on the podcast for the Soccer Dogs back in January around that time too.
Yes.
We're trying to get the ball rolling on that. So it's going to be we're aiming for spring 18. The schedule might be changing. We're not 100% sold on the idea, but
that's a wonderful organization for our community members and something that really has taken hold. And I know something that has changed in your mom's life compared to last time is she actually won the British Columbia Medal. Was honored with the British Columbia Medal of
Good Citizenship.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Good citizenship. I had it on my tongue and lost it, which is a real honor for all the work that she and all of you have done for the community.
And that's pretty much thanks to Soccer Dogs. The domino effect happened the way it is, and that's where I ended up.
And I know that everyone that goes there and attends, I mean, and I want to reiterate, Soccer Dogs and PAFN isn't only for people with autism. It's for people with
diverse needs.
Thank you. Absolutely, for diverse needs. And what I love is going out to events such as Soccer Dogs and seeing everybody there and parents communicating and linking up and talking about stories. And what you're doing is with your groups, with Soccer Dogs, with A Night to Remember, you're really making connections with community. And I think then we all bring a whole big family together, because once you know each other, then you don't all feel isolated.
Absolutely. And you know what? The whole autism community, you guys are amazing. And also, I also do want to mention one more thing. I am also, by the time this goes up, we've already announced this. By the time this goes up,
I'm part of the new Voices of Autism self-advocate group, which I am an advisor with, and I'm very happy to get the ball rolling on that soon.
That sounds fantastic. What's that about?
So what it is basically they're all going to be they're all going to be people on the spectrum, sort of being advisors to the PAFN. So basically, I'm part of the advisory committee. I've been with them since almost about a year now.
Oh, wow. That sounds fantastic. And can I ask you a question? Because I know you described it the last time we spoke about what you would want the world to know about autism. In your opinion, do you have any changes to that statement, or what really would you like the world to know about autism?
I don't know what I was back then. It was a much different time for me back then because I didn't know a lot of people with autism back then. But now, since I'm working at the building, I get to see all sorts of different people with all sorts of amazing, unique talents.
Yes.
And I personally would rather not use the term as a lot of people would know. There's not the disability. There's always the ability to do something, and that's what I believe. That all these people with autism have a gift in their own right.
I agree 110%. And I think you said that very, very well, and you're testament to it. Because even if you're thinking that things may not change or whatnot, look in a year and a bit of what's happened to you, which I think is phenomenal. I mean, you were fantastic before, but the joy in your face today, I think our audience should really be made aware of.
Absolutely. Tally, that was a much different time for me. I was very not sure about my future back then, but now I know it's almost pretty much guaranteed that this is the way I'm going to be going. I'm just going to be that strong advocate.
Which is fantastic, and we, people in the community, also thank you.
Tally, I do want to say something about your podcast here, because I do want to say that all these voices, specifically all these different individuals on the spectrum, really show the light about autism. And I personally think that your podcast really highlights the positivity of autism, because there's always the light at the end of the tunnel. Heck, I was not sure what I was going to be doing for my job. Look, I was going to be in the tech sector, and look where I ended up. I'm an advocate now.
And you want to know what? You really are where you're meant to be, because I know this is an audio podcast, but seeing the joy on your face really says it all. And I thank you for that comment. And I really want, my goal of interviewing community members is to give parents out there and everyone alike a different perspective on how the media and everybody views autism. You can and can be a positive change in the world. And people with autism, in my opinion, are truly a gift.
Absolutely. But I mean, the thing though is you got to realize there's so many different people with autism from one end to the other. That's why they call it the spectrum after all. But everyone's in it together. And I've seen people who are basically nonverbal and they're still well aware of their situation. So don't count them out.
And even if you don't have an audio voice, doesn't mean you don't have an inner voice to be able to speak your truth to the public. I mean, there's many people out there that have written books, and there's many people that use devices now to speak with the way of technology who have lots to say. So yes, we do have a wide variety, but I think you can agree with me that regardless of your ability to vocally speak, doesn't mean you don't have anything to say, and it also means that you're still a gift to our world and our community. And I wish that the rest of the world would actually take note and continue to be inclusive and elevate.
Absolutely, Tally. I don't know how to explain it, because now I'm in the point of my life. It feels like I'm actually going to tear up just how amazing my life has turned around in the last year.
Well, that's fantastic, Lucas. It really makes me feel wonderful just looking at you. And as a parent, watching what you can achieve is always gives people hope.
Absolutely. And Tally, I cannot believe that my wonderful workplace is going to be a year old. It's absolutely hard to believe. I was there when the building opened. I got to play a round of air hockey with the then premier of the province. I thank everyone for absolutely helping out with this building. I couldn't be more proud to call this my second home when you think about it.
Well, you want to know what? It's a pleasure to have you working there. It's a pleasure to have you on this podcast. And once again, I thank you for sharing your light with our audience.
Hey, Tally, you know what? I have to thank you for having this wonderful podcast. I can't believe this podcast been around for almost a year and a half now. And
2 years.
2 years. That's how time really flies by.
It really does fly by. Well, I want to thank you, Lucas, for dropping by once again today. And we hope we'll have more discussions in the future as well.
Tally, it's a pleasure, and it's all my. I just have to say this. I have to say this right now. I couldn't be more proud to be a real voice for not only autism but also for my sister as well. As you probably all remember, I also do have a sister with Down syndrome. So
absolutely,
I'm
lovely.
I'm a voice for people with diverse needs. That's just how I see it, and thank you so much, Tally, for having me on.
It's been my pleasure.
Don't forget to review on iTunes. It all helps out.
I want to thank Lucas for joining us in studio today and informing our Autism 30 audience about what he's been up to. And we hope you've learned something along the way that you can take home. If you want to contact Lucas, all of his details will be on our webpage at autism30.com. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, please don't forget to click and write a review. These reviews help us let us know how we're doing, and it also allows Autism 30 to stay at the top of the board so that if people are looking for autism information, we're easily found, and we really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter by going to our webpage and going down to the bottom of that page and clicking the word subscribe. Once again, this is Tally telling you to live in love.
Hey yo, I'm an autism awareness angel, making sure my wings protect the different.